Oh, absolutely. Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Innocent Outs. This is the Tom Leighton episode. We're going to be talking to one of the almost, I want to say pillars of the community because you've been around for so long that it's impossible for me to imagine 40k in the UK without you at this point, which I
That's
think is a
very
compliment.
kind, but as someone who can, I think that's a bit generous, to be honest.
Well,
But
you're one of
yeah,
the old guard at this point where you guys have all retired now. So
that feels very
it's
weird.
It is, yeah, but that's kind of
Mm.
why I wanted to get you on because obviously you have a lot of history with 40k and especially competitive
Yeah,
40k.
yeah.
And the last two people I've had on have been very newcomers to the scene, so
Oh,
having a
okay,
little bit of that
cool.
veteran perspective is going to be really interesting here, and I hope people really
Who
enjoy
are
that.
the first two shows about,
So
mate?
I had Nathan, one of my co-hosts, and Mitch Beard from Team Iceland. On as the
Okay,
first two.
cool.
So yeah,
That'll
you
be
are our
interesting
first
perspective,
first
actually.
proper
Yeah.
legacy. So yeah, I'm
First
looking
old
forward to
man at
hearing.
40k. I'm
Yeah, well,
29.
you're
It's not that
to completely sidetrack, you're one of the first people that I heard you on Al as a Convenience podcast when I was first starting to get into competitive 40k. So that's
bad.
kind of the legacy. We're going back to
Oh,
like
dearie
2014
me.
here, and I know you've
Mate,
been
that
going for
wasn't
a
even my
while
first
before that.
podcast that I was on, so we'll get on
No,
to
exactly.
that.
Yeah. So, do
Uh,
you want to tell us a bit about yourself, who you are, what your history in 40k has been?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Tom Leighton. You probably best know me from either 40k Spy Center, which we've done for the last 5 years, aka the Thursday show, aka Ladies Night, basically the Honest Wargamer 40k show that happened on Thursdays, or from Team Wales more recently, which has been the last 3 or 4 years, I think, where I've been the vice captain for the last couple of years. But if I were to just list stuff, there's a few things. We'll just get into this. Might go through my history because I've done various odds and ends, but I don't know where it's relevant. And you've already mentioned Al as a Convenience. That was never my baby. That was always like a Robbo thing and a Gas Jones thing and Adam Ryland thing, and I just kind of turned up. So yeah, we'll get through kind of stuff like
Yeah,
that. I always
we'll
like
get into it as we go
sticking
through.
my finger at the pies.
Um, this is Tom Leighton. Tom Leighton's been around forever. So let's start at the beginning. How did you get into 40k?
So I originally played Lord of the Rings from 2003. Basically, I was 9, and my parents said if I went to have a filling, and my parents got me. It was my first one, and they got me like the Lord of the Rings starter set because it was when films were coming out at the time. Because I was. Do you remember a TV show called? No, you won't, but people might remember a TV show called Time Commanders, and it was a historical show on BBC Two using the original Rome Total War engine. And at the start, they had like these like military blocks that push around like a table, like they do in like military bunkers or what have you in World War II. And I thought it was really cool. So parents got me a Lord of the Rings Warhammer set because that was popping off at the time, right? And then in 2008, I moved to a new school and made a friend who was playing 40k. So I started playing 40k. Yeah, really simple.
Yeah, so like early years for you, it wasn't so much of a like get into
Yeah,
a uni. It was just since you've been 10, it's what you've been doing.
yeah. Well, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, the 2008 thing was I met my mate in 2007, and he was playing for a while. And then I went to the Warhammer World, and Fifth Edition had just come out, so I just picked up the rule book and started playing from there, and really enjoyed it.
It feels
Um,
weird to think because I've been playing fifth edition as well. It feels weird to be like fifth
mm,
edition. So half of the editions I've been playing for
mm.
more than half the editions now. It's a very odd
It is
perspective to
weird.
have.
But I mean, we have sped up the cycle now, right? Like sixth edition was like a year or 2 years, right?
Yeah, we've
Seventh
gone
edition
from
wasn't
sort
too
of a
long either.
2 year
And then
cycle, and then we've gone
yeah,
3 years roughly now.
I mean every it is 3 years. So 10th will be dropping in the summer. And I'm ready for it. I want to see what happens, just because I think it'd be funny.
You always love
I
change, Tom.
doubt. Oh yeah, mate. At least I'm allowed to be dog shit this time, so it's fine.
You've had your years of being good. You don't have to. You don't have to compete anymore.
Have I? Oh, okay.
I don't know which ones they were, but they were in there somewhere.
I'll get to that because I was having a thinking about that earlier, actually. But
So, how
yeah.
did you make the jump from casual playing when you were 15, playing with your friend at school, to being a competitive
Yeah.
player? What was the leap
So
for
I
you?
introduced a bunch of mates to 40k afterwards. A bunch of other mates that I used to play with at my old school, and one of them was a mate called Jack, and you've met Jack actually playing League, I think, once. And he met a guy called Fabian at Games Workshop. Now Fabian's one of the Dragon Slayers, right? He's an AOS player now. I know Fabian quite well because we're both in the Dragon Slayers. But he was playing the Lash of Submission Zinch list, the second one, where you'd lash something into a pile and you just hit it with pie plates, right? And Jack thought, this is really, because he really likes optimization. Like he's like 200 mil in every skill on RuneScape. I'm playing Total War with him. He knows every cheese that you can possibly find. He just loves optimizing. And he bought this list, and I was there with my one squad of Dark Reapers, my one squad of Howling Banshees, my one squad of Swooping Hawks. He's getting battered by this. And I thought, this is unreasonable. Like, so I started like listening to podcasts, like 40k in the UK at the time. And I was doing that while doing like my A-level computing. And then when you went to university, I met a guy called BJ, who was one of the guys on 40k in the UK, and he basically dragged me off to these tournaments. And it was really good. I haven't seen that guy in years, actually. I really need to get into contact with him. But yeah, he was a good mate of mine, and he basically really encouraged me to start playing tournaments. That was like in 2012, when I first met him. So yeah, that was kind of how I jumped across. It wasn't really like, oh, I really wanted to do it. I just went in by myself. Someone really took me under their wing and just kind of like dragged me across to the tournaments. And yeah, it was great. And that was how I met the rest of the 40k in the UK guys.
What was the scene like back then? Because obviously a lot of people will have for a decade divorced from 2012 tournament scene in the UK. What was it like?
My first indie event was won by Adam Ryland. So that tells you how long ago that was. That was Battlefield Birmingham 3. That was when my Adam with it. Do you remember that pamphlet that came out in that White Dwarf?
Yeah,
the Chaos
I actually sourced that on Twitter recently. I had that was not good in comparison. Like that is a terrible
floor on my carpet. Yeah, outside. Yeah, I could go and get it if you want. But yeah, a piece of 40k history. He won that event with his Fate Weaver and his 27 Flamers, 27 Screamers. That was hilarious. But he was a big powerhouse. Josh Roberts was still around at that time. He had like Al Nothor, like people like this were just smashing. A couple of years later, it was like Dan Sackett and people like that coming through. But Franco Marufo, Tony Chu appeared around this time as well. But yeah, it was Rob Sims, Paul Burke, people like this. That was like the England setup, right? They were always like the top players at the time. And to a degree, like, a lot of that hasn't changed massively. You still see a couple of these people around.
It's interesting how we've got some of those names are still around, and some of those names are like 3 generations of Team England divorced from it now.
Exactly.
It's incredible how some players just have so much longevity, and some people are just there for a couple of years and make a massive impact and disappear.
Yeah, Dan Sackett being a great example of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it's always super interesting.
Yeah. That's how these things go, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, the next question is: do you still play casually at all, or are you just broken to the head, only competitive now?
Some say I never stop playing casually in this.
Some would say that.
You've seen how I play. No prep, just griefing, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I know for next time, right? Like that's always been how I've played. I always just kind of like learn as I experience it, and how I play casually just always comes down to like what does my opponent want to play? Like, does my opponent want to play a competitive game? I'll take a nails list. If they want to play like a chill game, I'll take a crap list and play them the exact same way. Because I'm not like I don't really cheese that much, do I? Let's be honest. I do a bit. By cheesing, I mean like taking advantage of weird rules concepts and pushing them to their limit.
For my part, you've always been play the consistent Eldar list. That's been what you've been for most of the time I knew you. It's just Tom is an Eldar player who will play whatever the most consistent Eldar list.
But that became a real issue because every team I played with, apart from Ireland, already had one. So like, okay, I'm playing for Wales, right? I want to play Eldar. Who else could play Eldar? Gaz Jones. Well, that's not going to happen, is it? I'm practicing with England. Well, I want to play Eldar. Who's playing Eldar? Josh Roberts. Oh, well, I better play Chaos then.
Or Tyranny. There's something about all of those. I'm going to call them like forever captains that they all play Eldar.
I mean,
like Sean, Josh, Gaz.
Post good results in Eldar, bro. It happens. So yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of instances where I've played something that's been like giga cheese, and I'm going to come to that a bit later. Like when I first picked up Genestealer Cults when we were our first book, I think I had the best list out of that book, and no one else was running it because no one else could paint it at any time. And it was brilliant. I'll tell you about it later, mate. It was fucking
perfect. So you don't have too much of an issue playing competitively or going from casual to competitive because your style is the way it is and it works equally well whatever level of list you're playing.
Pretty much, yeah, or equally badly as the case may be. I just enjoy how I play 40k. Yeah, and I enjoy how I play and how competitive it is set by my opponent. Like I don't really mind.
That makes sense.
Intentionally, I'll go and take an army to lose a game because I think my opponent could use it. They'd enjoy the game more. Like I played a mate at Warhammer World the other week, and I was like, "I'll take this list. It's a bit crap." When he turns up with his Nails Demons list, and I got rolled in like 3 turns. But I try and make him have a good time, and it's like, fine, I don't fucking care. Like, I prefer to win
can't,
games.
can't
but...
imagine doing that personally. I don't have it in me. I don't have the ability to lose.
No, well, you have the ability. Oh, okay, calm down.
No, like emotionally, I can't conceptualize being okay
No,
with a
I
loss.
get that, but it's all about self-worth for me, right? Like, I know how good I am or how bad I am, regardless of what happens in an individual game, right? Because I can understand the context of why that game's won or lost, right? Whereas a lot of people, it's like, oh yeah, this guy, like, did people ever watch that game where Sean Naden got tabled turn 1 by that Orc army and think Sean was shit?
From SoCal opening against Logan Heath. Yeah.
Did people think that was shit?
No,
Sean
thought the game was
no,
shit.
of course they didn't, because of the context of the game, right? It's like I prefer to be a bit more nuanced than that.
Fair. All right, let's move on to some hobby questions then. So, have you ever made an event decision based around the hobby commitment you would have to do for that event?
All the time. I consistently take slightly worse armies than I could for a book than just because I can't be asked to paint. Like, even with Eldar, like, I'd have like some weird list because I couldn't be asked to paint shit. Just couldn't be bothered. Like, but I'll have a good time anyway, right? So yeah, I absolutely have. There have been a couple of instances, which I know your next question, where I have ground the list out. I can think of two. One was Blood and Glory, where we had the soft scores.
Yeah, you had to have a display board, right?
Yeah. So I made a display board and I painted my army really nicely, and that won me the event actually, and that was really funny because that was proper karma. Like,
best overall. What a scoring category.
No, but this was fine because I didn't have a problem with this because in round 5 there were three people on max wins. I was playing one of them in the final round, and the other guy was pairing down and playing Sid Sidhu. And Sid Sidhu conceded turn 1 and went home in a winning matchup. So I was like, fine.
So you didn't feel, you were like, all right, cool.
You didn't win 5 games.
That is
because Sid wasn't feeling well, or he lived in London or whatever. But either way, Sid wasn't going to lose that game, and then he went home. I'm just like, well,
just hand him the win. Why don't you?
Also, mate, the irony of me winning this event on hobby scores when 2 months later I turn up in Scotland and you blag me into an event was glorious. Oh,
that was fine. That was fine. I fought people hard for that.
Some say I killed the podcast.
Kill more than a podcast, dude. Okay, so what's the worst example of putting the grind in or being lazy? What's the worst example of putting the grind in or being a lazy bastard that you've ever put together for a tournament?
All right. Now we're going to get to that Genestealer cult list I was telling you about, right? So when the first book dropped, there was this detachment called a Cult Insurrection detachment, okay? And what this was you had when you came in from reserve, you had this Genestealer cult chart. And it was like you roll a d6 every time you come in. And if you rolled a 5 or 6 on your unit, you'd basically be able to charge from Deep Strike. And your Deep Strike turn 1. Because 5 was like you'd roll a d6 and you'd come in that close to the opposition or something, right? And the other one was you just come outside of 3 inches or something, right? The Cult Insurrection detachment allowed you to roll twice for every single unit. So I made a list where I had 2 of these detachments and rolled 46 times on this chart. Have you ever met Byron Sidhu?
Yeah.
I love Byron, but I tabled him turn 1 with this list.
Yeah, that list was that also was the fact the detachment that gave you whenever you went off the board, you got D6 models back in every squad.
You got Crumble Home killed a bunch of dudes in little units, and then they all came off and came back again.
Yeah,
it was great. But yeah, I came on the board like 20 units were charging turn 1. I just murdered Byron's entire army, and it was really, really mean, and I felt bad.
But for context for everybody, this is like 100 little Genestealer cult models.
204.
204.
I remember the exact number. So the book dropped like 2 weeks before the event, and I walked into Element Games. I threw £700 on the counter, cleaned out their entire Genestealer cult stock, and then painted this entire army in 2 weeks to take to Cali.
Oh, Cali! What a hero!
What an event
that is gone.
I've still got the best general for Genestealer cults here. Actually, here it is.
I've got a couple of best in factions for Cali, but I never got a 5-0 one.
Here you go. It's
one of the things I wish I had.
Horrible list. But yeah, it was that was a lot of fun, that army. Then they nerfed it like 2 weeks later, and that was really mean.
It was probably
because it was only me playing it. No, No, I'd put all that effort into painting it. Still got the army, but
I once watched that army charge an Iron Hand's Death Star on turn 1, put like 400 saves on it, do 2
it bounced,
damage.
didn't it?
It was so funny. So I did 2 damage. I'm like, yeah, but you've covered the entire board in models. The Iron Hand's Death Star can't move. Why are you complaining right now?
Yeah, it won't kill it, but it isn't moving anywhere. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh dear. But yeah, that was probably the hardest grind that I went through, just to get an army on the table. But it was a whole lot of fun for that one event I got to play it.
I feel like the longer you play competitive, the more armies you have that you put together for one tournament and never touched again.
Oh mate, you can just see it around me. It's everywhere.
It's a real problem.
It's a problem.
It's
Oh
like,
mate,
why do I own an
yeah,
Admech army? Because Warcon looked really fun.
Oh mate, I tell you what, Robbo's got a load of really lovely painted armies around his house now, or Jazz does because he sells more than Jazz, doesn't he? So... Oh dear.
So
but yeah,
next on to some gaming things. So if you could add one unit to the game, what would it be and what role would it fill?
I feel like an Eldar glass cannon, but would actually be a glass cannon. Would be nice. Like you look at Shining Spears, and they hit like a bus, but they also live a lot, and I hate it. So I would delete Shining Spears entirely and have a unit that hits really hard, but also dies immediately.
So you want harder hitting, but less tanky Shining Spears.
Not harder hitting, because that would be gross, but I really struggle with these questions. Yeah.
I would try to spend 15 points
or even the same price. Like I just want it to be able to, like, trade immediately. You know what I mean? But I don't not anything that it can choose. Just something great, because Eldar always have this weird dichotomy where they are meant to be elite and not willing to give themselves up and die, but by their very nature, they're also meant to be really squishy because they're space elves, right? So how do you balance? You never, you're really careful about how you live all the time, but equally, I don't know.
Well, if history's anything to go by, they just don't.
They just don't do it. Elves are a problem in every game. It's consistent. But yeah, maybe you'd go for that. But to be honest, I'm not a game designer. I never claimed to be. I can critique from the outside, but I could never do the job that Games Workshop do because I just don't know what I'm doing. I can see problems. I don't know any solutions. And I'm never going to lie to people about that, right? So I think that's probably where I'd go. Yeah.
Cool. Next up is, if you could remove one army from the game, what army would it be and why?
There are a couple I was thinking of here. I would say Admech, but I think Admech could be really good. They're just mismanaged. Knights. Let's get rid of Knights.
You just don't fit in the scale of the game?
Partly, but also But do you remember season 4 Cassidy in League of Legends?
Yeah.
Where it was basically impossible to balance him because of his kit. He was either
like an unkillable monster because he got past 15 minutes, or exactly. He just died in the lane and you played the game for 30 seconds.
Yeah. With Knights, it always feels like they're either overtuned or undertuned because they're such a heavy DPS check. Either they're useless because they're too easy to kill, or they're overpowered because they're too hard to kill at all moments of the game. Right. And especially with the new book, I think that it's very... What made them so nice beforehand was they were very chill to play. You could just pick them up and go and take them to an event. But now they're also really complicated for absolutely no reason.
It feels like they added complexity but not depth to the army.
Which the previous book was great. You had a lot of different options, but it was never overwhelming, right? It was enjoyable, but you
it started overwhelming.
Yeah. It is, yeah, okay.
Never overwhelming is a bold statement.
We allow it.
Okay. So next on to some 40k event stuff. You've got a lot of these. My last two guys I've had on the show have had
this is where we get to the meat. This is where the content actually is.
These guys have not had great answers to these just by virtue of not having been in the 40k competitive scene for a decade. So first up, what's the dodgiest travel plan you've ever had for a tournament?
Okay. The Warhammer 40k GT Finale 2013. Okay. So this was... we used to have like a circuit in the UK called the 40k GT, and you'd have a bunch of heats across the UK, and if you came top half of one of those, you'd qualify for this final that went on at Maelstrom Games. Because I hadn't been playing competitively for very long, I hadn't qualified to this event, but I went anyway and didn't tell anyone who I was going. So I went with BJ to Nottingham to the Bran Cave, which is where 40k UK and 40k Global were recorded. and stayed with Dave and Franco from that podcast. They went out, and I just kind of slept. But I was basically going halfway across the country with a mate on a train to an event I didn't even have a ticket for. And it snowed. So I ended up stuck in this brand cave. We drove out to the tournament. We got there. And basically, it was just 3 dudes petitioning Rob Sims to let me into this tournament. And the end result was, if there's odd numbers, you can play, but you're playing the last person to walk in through the door. And the last person to walk in through the door was Josh Roberts, and there were odd numbers of players.
Oh man, you really got.
They had a great time. I love playing Josh. But I did get to play in this event. So basically, I made this entire travel plan with my mate for an event I didn't even know I'd be playing it.
That is impressive.
Yeah, it was all right. It worked out. It was fine. No problems.
Maelstrom Games is another. That's before my time as well, and I've been doing this a while.
Maelstrom Games was a good venue, bro. I really liked it. It was. It
was the Eye of the Storm, right?
Yeah, it was. Do you remember? Have you been to any of the Last of the Summer Winehammers?
No, I haven't, unfortunately.
Okay. Have you seen Mikey's stream from these?
Maybe the Sanctuary venue.
Okay. No. So it's in like a venue in Homeford. It kind of reminds me of Maelstrom a little bit, but not quite as polished. So yeah, if you've ever been to one of those, it's not too dissimilar to that, but with a shop underneath, which that has too. So yeah, it was a good venue. It's just on the outside of Mansfield, which of course is an L because Mansfield, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, man, that's the name I remember. I remember it being a big from when I used to listen to like Bad Dice and Heel and Hammer for back in the fantasy days.
Yeah.
When I was like not into competitive, but I was playing it because I played it from like 2008. I played fantasy. So I kind of like listened to podcasts to have something to do. And I remember that being mentioned a lot when they were going to tournaments.
I've got an 8-fed limited edition rulebook with a brass plaque on it for that game. It was really nice.
Fantasy Battle. I do miss Fantasy Battle sometimes. I wish I'd been good at it.
No, I just didn't bother. I just thought it looked nice. I just like the aesthetic.
So, what's the funniest or worst thing that's happened to you when traveling for a 40k event? Not so much like something you planned, but something that just occurred.
There's 2, and I'll go for both because they're quite quick. Have you ever watched a film, The Princess Bride?
Yes, of course.
Do you know the hill he rolls down?
Yes.
So that's a hill in the Peak District called Mam Tor. And through that hill is a big road that's about as steep called Winnet's Pass. And I was refereeing at Caledonian Uprising in 2015, I think. Yeah, 2015. Or it might have been 16. Because it was the year when the Yavara was big. So it might have been 2016. Okay.
You've lost me.
Anyway, so I ended up playing, refereeing this event. And on a Saturday night, it really heavily snowed, like proper blizzard. And I could have stayed in a hotel but it was like this one hotel where all the Scottish guys are staying. I was like, okay, well, I could go there, or I could just drive home. So I just decided to drive home. And the only route I knew home was over this Winnet's Pass. And I got to the top of it in this massive blizzard. And I thought, this is fucking stupid. What am I doing here? But I thought, well, I've come this far. So I drive my little Ford Fiesta on its winter tires down this fucking massive incline. And it takes me 2 hours to get home, but I do it and I didn't die. So it was nice. The other one was when I got stuck in the States during Hurricane Irma.
That's also not great, yeah.
No, it was. I stayed in Philadelphia Airport for 24 hours and I ate at every food establishment that they had. That's
impressive. Like
if you stop there, there's a burrito place that's quite good.
It's a decent clean sheet. Like,
yeah,
you wouldn't take it, but if you had to choose, like, I guess.
Yeah, it worked out. Although I did get seized on 5 times in 8 games at that event with Storm Ravens.
Yeah, I hear that's not great either.
That was worse than Colm at that year's ETC.
It was, but Colm did it at ETC, which I feel like it's just worse on principle.
Worse in numbers, not quite the repercussions.
Exactly. All right, next up. What's your favorite thing to eat for dinner at a tournament?
This has changed repeatedly. I used to get one of those 14-piece KFC fillet buckets with 4 bags of chips. But I woke up in cold. I woke up.
How are you so skinny?
Mate, I woke up in cold sweats from that like a few times in like a couple of years ago before COVID. So I started switching to Domino's, and now that makes me dehydrated. So I can't do that either. So the honest answer is I genuinely don't know anymore because I can't eat any of it. It'll kill me.
All of my previous options have turned out to be bad choices.
They are now. I'm old, but yeah, that was always it. Just go to your hotel, watch match of the day, scoff a pizza. Fucking beautiful, mate. Absolutely beautiful. Would recommend.
Do you drink at tournaments?
I do, but I've not been out on a Saturday night of a tournament. The only
Ever?
time that I was up, no, the only time I've been up late was when I was at Luke Nurse's house. And I think in 2014 it was at Defo Glory. Or was it Luke's house? Anyway, it was one of the Defo Glory guys' houses, and I think a bunch of girls from Tinder turned up at this house. And yeah, I just slept on the floor in this renovated house next to Josh, and that was hilarious. But apart from, I've not really been out on a Saturday night because it's just I'm there to play 40k, bro. Like,
That's right.
I don't
Yeah,
want
nobody
to
has
feel
any
like
free
shit
throws
on the
for it, right?
Saturday because I feel on the Sunday because I feel obligated to do so, right? Like, I'd enjoy the night out, sure, but I'm not gonna like have a crap Sunday because of it. You know what I mean? I'm not. It's not really my thing. Well, I'll have a beer at a tournament, but I'm not gonna go overboard and never
Have
like
you ever
feel
done
out
the
of control.
WC night out?
I've been to it, but I normally go to bed by like at midnight, 1 o'clock, right? Like we did that this year, right? When we
Yeah.
it's just I'm never going to feel obligated to do something because other people are doing it. I'd rather
No,
just
that's
enjoy
entirely
myself
fair.
my way.
It's probably a healthier
So
relationship than a lot of us have.
potentially, like it depends how it works for you. I'm never going to judge anyone for like wanting to do that, but it's just
No, that makes sense. That's a good answer.
I saw poor Chris at Wales this year, and I thought, yeah, I made a good choice.
Yeah, don't be like Chris. Don't drink a liter bottle of vodka in an hour and a half.
Mate, I was staying away from him because I thought it might have been COVID.
All right, back to some game questions, but they don't require any
Yeah.
relevant knowledge, Tom. So you don't have to break out in cold sweats again. Did you win your first tournament game?
No, I can't remember what I played, but I definitely lost that. I think I played some tournament Marine, but yeah, definitely not. No way.
What did you play at your first tournament? Do you remember that?
I remember playing Space Wolves. So I played Vanilla Space Wolves, and that was at the start of 6th edition. And then I played Space Wolves and Guard after that for a bit. And then I played the Double Land Raider. I could go forever. So yeah, I played Space Wolves. It's basically
Space Wolves was your first tournament. I always knew I didn't like you.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
Did you win your most recent tournament game?
Define win.
Did you score more points than them?
I know, but I scored more points than I was expecting, okay? Because I played against Robbo's Votan on a board of Robbo's choosing in teams, okay? And I got a point, so you can suck yourself.
Not on air, but thank you.
No. I mean, depends if you remove the ribs first, but it was, I'll have that point. Thank you very much. That was fucking horrific. The fact that you've got this 200-point transport that can one-shot your Silent King is mental to me.
It's 330.
After 2 rounds of Nurse.
It's 320 points. It's not 200.
I don't care. It's still too cheap, it is.
No, absolutely. I'm not disputing that. It's the same points as a Land Raider, man.
No, mate, unreasonable. This, like, absolutely unreasonable. It's like, okay, well, if I can hide from him, then it's, I'm gonna get some points out of this. Oh, what's this? Your bikes move 12 inches before the game starts, do they? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, what's this? You've got this free deep strike that they definitely didn't learn from AdMac. Okay, good. Oh, and I can't deep strike after you. Okay. Well, now I'm just going to veil across the board so I can actually get something in range to shoot you back. Oh, you shoot me on arrival, do you too? Oh, okay, right. Yes. Oh, and I can't reroll to wound, and my AP doesn't mean anything. Okay, good. Oh, and you got an invulnerable save as well. Thanks, mate. Yeah, sound.
Yeah, Votan sure.
Yeah, I had a great time. I mean, I angled for that matchup.
Right? So.
I angled for that matchup because I always play Robbo at team events every time, and I always have a good time. And I knew I'd get battered, but I thought it'd be funny. So,
well, that always counts. If you could pick any player in the world to play tomorrow, who would you pick?
Chris Kinnair.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do you know who Chris is?
I know who Chris is, yeah.
Yeah, I've played him on TTS a couple of times. He's a mate of mine. But I thought a Welsh man pretending to be English versus an English man pretending to be Welsh would be fantastic as a matchup.
And let's go also, Chris for Team England.
Yeah, no, genuinely though, I think he should. I genuinely, I back my boy. I think he's really, really good. He's got a great mind for the game. Yeah, I've played him once at my house, but I've not played him at a tournament. So I've already told him if we're both going to an event where we have grudges, I'm just going to grudge him. Either him or Erding, I think, because I've never played Erding, and I know it's Erding now versus Erding a few years ago, but
The Germans still rate him. So
good.
we
I'm glad
had
they
Calvin,
do.
the German captain, on one of our other shows a couple weeks ago. He's still a big fan of Simon. So
I'd definitely like to play that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Simon's one of the names that's like just about was still in the game when I came around, but you don't hear much
I'm going to be
about him
talking
now.
about him a little bit later with one of the other questions, actually. So that's going to work out quite well.
Perfect. Do you think anybody would pick you as their anybody to play against?
I hope not. Fucking hell. What are you doing that for? Come on. Calm down. There's way better people to pick than me. Like, if you are, then I think your box is gone. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you're still due me a tournament game at some point. We still need to have one.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, bro. Mate, when you next go into a tournament near me, just let me know, and I'll probably just turn up and then see if we can blag a ticket again.
That's
and then we'll do it.
Are you doing the GW one in Manchester in April?
The GW one? Oh, hell no.
No,
that was 90 quid.
Yeah.
No, I'm 90 quid lying around for a GW event. 65 quid maybe.
It's got so many players.
So does LGT. So does Manchester. So does Leeds. So does Nottingham. I'll do one of those. It'll be fine.
That's fair. I'm doing the other Manchester one. I'm doing Zach Manchester as well.
Yeah, I could do Zach Manchester. I could play at that. Does Zach allow grudges?
No.
Well, we'll just have to both turn up late then.
Yeah, we're just playing the finals. It's fine. It's the only games you can plan to play each other. All right. Do you have a hype song for tough games, or just in general?
No, and there's a specific. I get why there's a question though. I specifically don't, and I don't want to because you've already got enough going on. If you're playing like a tough game, you know it's because it's a tough list, right? And you've already got enough dealing to deal with on the tabletop anyway. One of the things that I used to really struggle with in like 2014-15 was getting in my own head when playing against like reputable players, right? And there's reputable players, like I shouldn't be in them, but I am. And like people like Alex and what have you, where we rely on other people just making mistakes, right? And if you're putting yourself in a position where you are overthinking things because you think that the other person, before you can get into the game, is better than you, you're already going to lose. Right.
That's fair.
You just back yourself.
It doesn't necessarily have to be respective of do you think the person's better than you, but like so like yeah. I have one for example that I take it just gives me that 3 minutes where I go and sit in a corner somewhere and just
like you meditate for a bit,
not focus on 40k for a couple of minutes. So that's kind of how I use it. But some people have had different answers to this.
That's fair. That's fair. It's more I don't want to like big up a game. Yeah, exactly. Because I've already got enough in front of me that I have to deal with. I don't want to be dealing with my own rubbish as well, right? So yeah, I get that, but no, so I specifically avoid that.
That's fair. Do you have another ritual, like anything like that, or is it just like before an event?
I normally go to sleep in the car between rounds.
That's a good answer, I guess.
We take that. Yeah,
all right. As one of the resident 4K historians, I'm hoping you'll have some great answers to this question. What's your dream 5-man team tournament lineup?
I really struggle with this one because there's a lot.
You can be a player on it. You can be the captain of it. Either.
So immediately, I'm going to put myself in because I think
want to play.
It's people I want to play, and also it's my team. I'm fucking playing, bitches. It's fine. Although I'd love to coach, I think the coaching role is woefully underused in like by the vast majority of 40k teams, possibly all at the minute. I think that has, as in team coach, not just coaching people to play 40k. And I'd probably put myself in like 2016, 2017 lane at the end of 7th edition. That's probably when I was at my peak. I didn't win as much around that time, but when you can tell you're playing really well, that was definitely when I was, because I was dragging this corpse of a 4-man team around. That entire year in 2016, and then 2017 it was like, I'm just give me Eldar. I didn't lose a single Yunari mirror match, and I lost one Eldar mirror match, and that was to Josh Roberts. And that's because I got it my own way. I should have won that game. So that's me. I'd also pick Josh, and I'd specifically pick Josh because so Josh Roberts. People don't appreciate this now, but Josh is the best player the UK has ever had, and it's not close. Chewy now, very, very good player. You should have seen Josh. Manny, same thing. So there was a year, it was either 2014 to 2015. Every tournament Josh went to, he won it. Every single one. And he went to a good number because he was prepped as fuck. Like, this guy is the best player the UK has ever seen. Like, really on it.
So to touch a little bit, do you think that is a little bit of a function of the scene being less mature back in the day, where somebody who was able to and willing to put in that much prep just could be heads and shoulders above, and that the baseline level is higher now? Or do you think it's just Josh was just that much better?
Or is it that the game has evolved to a certain point where it can always swing a certain way a little bit more easily, right?
Yeah, maybe. I think that the top players still have very high win rates.
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think a lot more people are willing to put in the prep now, but I also think that prep is far more important.
Yeah, Josh was one of the first people that did that prep, though. I think
yeah,
Josh
he did,
was
100%.
But I'll do a slight
he's
plug.
also like
we did
a
an
great
episode.
player.
We did an episode of our other show, End of the Matrix, with Josh this week. It's 100 minutes of him talking about him being captain of Team England. If you've not listened to that, go and listen.
That'd be really good.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link.
That'd be brilliant. Thank you.
Because it's the Polish captain going through it with him. So
I was talking to Gaz about this, and about how the game is so full of info now. Because remember, we played years when we didn't even have FAQs, right? We had like one WTC FAQ, and that was what we used, right? And you've got so many different like detachments, formations, campaign books, and all that kind of stuff. The prep now is so much more important than it ever was before, and people just wouldn't do it beforehand because it just wasn't. You could rely more on your like in-game ability, right? Whereas now you have to do that prep. It's just not an option, right? But of course, if you did do that prep on top of whatever you're doing beforehand, then you had an edge. And Josh did that. And every event he went to, he was mega prepped. And I'm sure he spoke to you about that as well. But yeah, he was absolutely insane. He changed the game in the UK. He was a revolutionary player. I mentioned him briefly there as well, but Gaz Jones, I picked him too. And it's weird because he's the captain of Team Wales while I was a vice captain. But over COVID, we were playing Dawn of War Dark Crusade together as like a group with some people from Northern Warlords. And Gaz just casually drops in there, but he was top 16 in the world in this game. This is what we're playing. And he's really good because he does have that gamer brain. And he's naturally very, very good at games. And this guy went to UK Masters, which was an event back in the day where like the top 16 players on Rankings HQ went to this event. And he'd roll out his army out of his books. He'd have his codex open. He'd roll a page out with a dice. Then there were like 6 units on the page. He'd roll a d6. Whatever number that was, he put that in his army. And he was beating players like Co-Rhodes with this ridiculous garbage Eldar army, right? So, yeah, 100% put him in there. Erding as well. And you have to put him in. Arguably the greatest player I think a lot of people have seen play. 40k. I've not played him against him myself, which is why I want to play him personally. But also, top player. Also a bit of a character as well over the tabletop. And there are a few other ones.
Cliff notes who he is before we move on.
So he's a legendary German player. Sorry, Simon Erding. But yeah, he used to play with Flame On back in the day as well. So I'd pick him. And then finally, I was torn between either Skark or Naden for the last one. Because I think Naden's hilarious. Because I've seen some of his above the table antics. I think they're brilliant. But equally, Skark is kind of like a similar one to me in terms of his legacy, legendary status, like Erding. So it's a toss-up. Or you just, in fact, you know what? Just bench me and put them both in. It's fine.
Yeah. And I think you could probably make a decent argument for that as a 40k Hall of Fame ballot as well. So
yeah, I think it's solid. Yeah, start putting the WTC Hall of Fame back in there, mate. That'll be we're gonna make that work, and we're gonna have that as a 5-man and see what that does. But yeah, that'd be.
No, that's a really good set. That's a really good set of players.
What a team! I mean, they're all like carries, but it's half them play Eldar. But
hey, I wonder why that is.
I think there's like 4 Eldar mains in that list. But it happens. So yeah, I tell you what though, I would have really liked to play with you at some point though, mate, because I think we are completely opposite players in terms of how we play the game. I've watched you play, and you've watched me play, and we play completely different.
Yeah, you give me anxiety when I watch you play.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I just love it.
That practice game we played is one of the sloppiest games of 40 I've ever played. It me to my core.
Was that the one where we were playing?
We played it.
To be fair, you were being harassed by people who were coming to talk to you, and I was just like, "Yeah, we've got an hour."
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm vaulting over barriers and shit. But we played that one game of TTS, and we got to the end, and I just won them, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm griefing. Like, I'm playing really shit." And you're just like, "That's just rude, Tom. Like, you can't be saying that." But yeah,
like, come on, man, you have to bump where you go a little bit.
You'd force me to prep, and I'd force you to be like adaptive in all situations. Just go with the flow and fucking vibe. I'd also cause you like massive anxiety and cause you hemorrhoids, but that's
Yeah.
beside the point.
So we'll have to do
Like,
one of those, the next generation of legacy players. I feel like we can get to
Mm.
the point where we're that,
Oh, mate,
and do
imagine
that
that.
for a random team event. Like
Imagine that.
the best of like 2018.
Yeah, there you go. Like, imagine I somehow worm my way into Team Scotland. Okay, imagine we're doing this. All right, we are at 70-70 at the DTC or WTC. Like, okay, we've got one game left. Who's playing? Tom. Oh, fuck.
This could be anything.
But that's nice though. Like, because I kind of like, in a way, that's good for me because I'll throw myself under some bus, right? And it could be a 0. In fact, it won't be a 0 because I've only got 1-0 in the last 4 years, and that was because the Swede put a 0 because I had food poisoning. But equally, it could be a 20, and you never know until it comes in.
It's either a 20 or a 1. It's either a 20 or a 1.
But if it's a bad matchup, hey, we're only expecting 4 points anyway, and he's probably going to drag that out. So let's see what happens and roll the dice. You'd have learned to love it, mate. You'd have learned to love it.
Oh,
Get on the roulette table.
Sure. My line for 40k for the WC this year was, if my green matchups had given me 1 point every round, I'd have been happy, because I got less than that. So
oh well, maybe I am on Team Scotland.
Maybe you are, mate. Maybe you are.
Oh no.
What is the crib notes for the best game of 40k you've ever played?
I had a real think about this one because you sent me this in advance. If we're talking competitively, the one that I think is most memorable is probably one I'm going to go for. And that was Mark Cromwell home in the round 4 of Blood and Glory. So there was a lot of context around this. We were going into the day 3-0. I ended up winning this event. But on the table next to me was my mate Scott Nichols, who I'm a teammate with. He's a good friend of mine. And he was playing Simon Pridis with his Orc Storm Boys army. You have one where he just runs up and just takes all the objectives. And I really didn't want to play against either of his armies because I thought they'd both bog me down too much. I was playing Eldar Classic. And I like Simon, but I've not played him. But he was 100% slow playing this game. I'm sorry, Simon, but you were, mate. No problems. But I watched you spend 30 minutes asking questions about plague bearers. So don't even try.
There aren't that many rules, man.
No, don't have that many rules. Basically, they ended up both getting carded because they didn't finish the game and getting a loss, which kind of. So Scott basically just took this train for me. So I had to go on and win the event. And I was playing Mark and his stupid Talos list, which I played against that on Warhammer TV, and there's a stream somewhere, and I lost that one. But this game came down to like one Ranger living on a 5-up save and then the game ending. And if that happens, I win. And it did. And I was like, nice. Straight through.
Sort of those I'm really good at Warhammer moments.
Yeah, exactly. It was just one of those. And also I like Mark, and we were just chilling at the time, and it was just, oh, this is ridiculous over here. Look what's going on at this table. This is 100%, unreasonable. But equally, we were just having fun with it. It was two mates hanging out and playing a game of competitive 40k, even though we're both 3-0, even though like the two armies we were most scared of were just timing each other out and probably going to both get losses. We just played the game like mates, and it was really good. So yeah, charge Talos in the middle, shoot a bunch of Talos. Basically just try and farm up points as long as I can before I get run over. And luckily I do. But yeah, it was a fun game, and it was really what competitive 40k is all about, where even though it's a tough game and you both try and win the event, you're just hanging out with your mate at the end of the day. And Mark was there taking pictures of his fucking Ranger after the game had finished. So yeah, it was yeah, probably good for that one, mate.
Perfect. That's a good game.
It's a good game. Yeah.
What lesson do you never seem to learn in 40k?
To prep. Let's be real. I did a bit of over COVID, right? You know what we're doing with Scottish leagues?
Yeah.
On TTS, and every event I was playing a different army because I was trying to learn what they all did. And then eventually I got to a point where they were releasing a codex every month, and I just kind of gave up because it was just too much for me. I couldn't justify that. And it's so important nowadays, right? To do that prep. Whereas I never learn it, but I choose not to learn it because I just don't have the time, and I can't be willing to do that, right? which is why having like when James Ramsey was on Team Wales, it was really valuable to have him because he just knows everything because he's like an encyclopedia of 40k. So if I've got a question, just talk to Ramsey and he just tells me. Like, what's the rule variant, James? Oh, it's this, but it works like this in this context. Oh, sound. Thank you, James. Like,
he's predicted your next question before you ask it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like, he's that was really valuable because I can't justify that time. I just don't learn it, right?
Perfect. What lesson do you desperately wish other people would learn in 40k?
Be confident in your own ability, even if it's crap. Genuinely, I think people get far too hung up on what other people are doing, and they need to learn for themselves. I think it's very easy to get in your own way, and don't be afraid of looking like a fool or being a fool. I mean, we know I'm all right with that, like, because that's the way you learn. You learn by making mistakes, right? And if you're not willing to make those mistakes in the first place or try out wacky things, you're not going to learn. Like, I'll do something dumb, and then if I get blasted for it, then maybe I shouldn't do the dumb thing. And now I know why it's dumb. And now I know I get punished, right? And now I know how I get punished. Whereas if I just assume that it's dumb in the first place, I'm never going to actually experience why it's dumb or understand why it's dumb. So this is a lot of things. Do you do any coaching in this, actually?
Not currently, no.
Okay, so if someone comes to you and asks you a question, you give them the answer as to what that's going to be, right? So now they know the answer. But, well, okay, theoretically. But you need all that backlog of knowledge to understand why this is this, to be able to apply it to future situations or other situations, right? And you don't get that without going through the full process.
Yeah, knowing why a unit or a list is the best list is
exactly
as useful as knowing why it's the best list.
Yeah, it's not about knowing what to do. It's about having the fundamental understanding of how to understand what to do, right? And you build that through experience, and you don't get that experience if you're constantly afraid of making mistakes, especially in a chess clock environment, mate. Like, I played a game against Manny at Hours of Convenience. He spent 20 minutes asking me what these mega knobs did. And I had no idea where to put them. So I just put them in some bumfuck nowhere stupid position, like really aggro. And Manny was mad scared of these mega knobs because he really didn't want me to punish him. And the mega knobs weren't going to do anything. They had nothing to do. But because I was just really confident and assertive, like one of my first competitive lists was double Land Raider Chaos Space Marines with some Corn Marines in it, right? And this was really good against Tau because you park it in the middle of the board. It's armor value 14, and the Tau can't touch it because it's, strength 7, and then you just jump out turn 5 and you set on objectives, right? But it was pretty crap. But no one knew it because all I'd do is like, my turn, okay, 5 minutes, Land Raider, shoot, done. As if I knew what I was doing. I was bluffing the entire time.
But it still counts.
Hey, it still counts. Yeah. So, 40k is as much above the table as it is on the table. Like, just be confident, even if you're not, because either it works or it doesn't, and you improve. Yeah. So just go for it, man.
One thing I've done with that is I start telling every opponent in my match that it's a good matchup for me, regardless of whether it is.
You big shit house.
Yeah, man, I think this is a pretty good matchup for me, and just watch their face kind of like tick through the stages of grief. It's like, wait, he's playing this army. I've never played against this before.
The correct response to that is, that's okay, I know you're going to make a few mistakes, so it'll be fine. That's kind of why I wanted to put Naden in that 5-man. Because have you played Naden?
No, never had to play.
I haven't, but I've heard stories of people who have. And it's fucking hilarious the shit this guy says above the table. He's above the table antics. Oh, beautiful, mate. I love it.
Well, hopefully I'll get to play him. I'm at a GT with him next month.
Yeah. Tell me how it is. Tell me how it is. Yeah.
I'll do my best. Or I'll finish my games quickly and go and watch him. One of the two.
Oh, mate, yeah. Make sure you get. I've got like an old recorder from a 40k Global Days you can borrow if you want. Stick it on his table and just.
You really are a 40k boomer. It's glorious.
I am. Ship it up to you, bro.
All right.
Oh, dearie me.
Is there anything about your 40k career, and you've been on like a million shows, so this is probably not going to apply, but is there anything about your 40k career that you've always wanted to brag about that you've just never had the right opportunity to?
No, well, I would have best painted once. Retake that. Listen, I've been playing this for a long time, and over that period of time, I've done pretty much everything I wanted to do, apart from win ETC, WTC. But realistically, I'm not going to fucking do that without a level of prep I'm not willing to commit to, right? And that's okay. And I've never really been able to voice that because often I go under the radar a little bit, and that's okay too. Like, I never set the world alight, but I did everything I wanted to do, and I've made a lot of great friends along the way. And I'll still be around playing tournaments occasionally, but it's going to be on my terms and when I feel like it. No more long prep for events and highlighting them in my calendar as something big. I'm just going to go and play some Warhammer. You know what I mean? Like in the week leading up to Manchester, Ennis, I'm sure there's going to be people selling tickets. If I feel like going to Manchester, I will buy a ticket, right? So
But you'll do it because you want to now, not because you feel like you have to.
Yeah, exactly. Just treat it like a hobby at the end of the day, right? It's not a job. How much? I don't get paid anything. You get paid a little bit, I'm sure, but
Yeah, but a little bit now, yeah.
I doubt it pays your rent though.
No, but
Right.
but I'm at the point in my life where it probably could if I really wanted it to. So
I live in my mum's attic, so it definitely doesn't pay my rent. Buying a house in this country is horrific. But yeah, it's just I've always done things my way, and I've been lucky enough that I don't want to brag about anything because I've been lucky enough to enjoy that kind of stuff, right? I have no doubt that I won best painted, not because mine was the best painted, but because I had a lot of mates had my back, which I felt awkward about collecting the prize.
but the trophy's on the shelf all the same, right?
I didn't vote for myself. Yeah, exactly. I think it was probably the second nicest army that was up, maybe third. But yeah, it's just a bit of nepotism in there, which is a bit awkward. So,
but you can go out with a brag of I've done everything I wanted to do in 40k, and I'm retiring on my
apart from this, and this.
Apart from winning WTC/EDC, which not a lot of people get to do.
No.
I think you've got a good exit.
Not a lot of people get to do what I did either. Especially I don't know.
Well, not a lot of people get to go to WTC and ETC, right? And you've done it.
Yeah, well, it's not just about me going, because we get all the Wales B comments or England B comments and that, right? And that's, I mean, to be fair, it's the same in football as well, right? As we're seeing. But I think one of the things that people often don't see is how I am behind the scenes with my team. And I like to think there's a reason why I've played for 3 separate countries. And I often get asked to play for teams at 4-man, 8-man, 6-man events in the UK, right? And so I guess if I was to brag about anything, it's about my work ethic in team environments. I'm always willing to carry the can. I'm always willing to go under the bus, but also not just go under the bus and abdicate responsibility and say, well, I was going to get a 0 anyway. So, I mean, it's fine, right? It's no, I was meant to be getting a 2 or a 3, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try and get an 8. Okay. And a lot of people don't see like what I do behind the scenes, but I think a lot of people also do, and that's why I keep getting picked.
The right people know, right?
Exactly. It's like thinking about who do you really want to think is that you're valuable? Do you care if Reddit thinks that you're good? No, because they couldn't tell what's good if it fucking stared them in the face. Because I've been to Reddit and they're idiots. But like, whether Gaz or not thinks I'm a valuable member of the team is important to me because I value his opinion, right? Whether Chris Haynes thinks I'm valuable is important to me because I value his opinion, right? And in a lot of these cases, they see what I'm doing behind the scenes, and I've always been proud of how I've handled behind the scenes stuff. This year was a little bit rough for me, but I wouldn't have changed how I behaved at all at Worlds, at all, and I'm proud of that. I guess we'll go for that.
Good, and I think you have a lot to be proud of in that sense.
Thank you.
You weren't one of the people I recommended for Canada out of nowhere, right?
No. I mean, I was talking to those guys about being coached beforehand, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But get him to play. Just ask him. Pay his flights.
And no, it was a good experience for those lads. Still like those boys.
Perfect. I got 2 more questions. One is one you've seen. One is one you've not.
I know. I remember you mentioning this.
Is there a 40k story you've always wanted to tell but never have the opportunity again?
No, because I have been on this podcast, so I can't advocate that one because I don't shy away from telling the spicy stories either. So we don't mind.
So my last question is the whole conceit of the podcast. The reason I came up with it, and I normally tell the story at the start of the podcast, but I'm going to move.
No pressure, then, yeah.
And I'm going to do it. No, it's a really dumb question.
Good.
It's not a question I need you to have like prep on. Is the core concept of this?
Okay.
I read a Discord comment that was, "We're the number 1 F tier show if you want to know what Jim Vaisel's favorite pastry is," and that became like, I want to make that show. So my question for you is, Tom Leighton, what is your favorite pastry?
I live in Greg's.
There you go.
I have it as like a steak bake every other day. So I live in the north of England.
Leighton. There you go.
Well, pretty much. I live in the north of England. There's a street in Sheffield city centre called the Moor where there are 4 Greg's.
I could live there.
Yes, you couldn't. It's a city centre.
You know what I mean.
Also, in Rotherham, it's a town so shit the Greg's closed down.
How? What?
Rotherham.
I thought there's surely enough workies that will buy their Greg's roll every morning.
I mean, to be fair, last time I checked this Greg's was like 6 years ago, and they may have a new Greg's. Hold up, let me just Google this. It's important.
All right, we're gonna find out if Rotherham has a Greg's. This is thoroughly
Greg's Rotherham. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay, it does, but it's on the outskirts. Okay, there's 2 Greg's. I can't tell if from a city centre though. Okay, they're on the opposite sides of Rotherham Market. Okay, there are now 2 Greg's in Rotherham, which is very disappointing.
They cut off 1 Greg's and 2 more grew back in its place.
Exactly. It's like the Hydra. It keeps growing, it keeps coming back. Big fan of that. But thank you for doing the show, Ennis. It's been a nice show to do. Thank you so much for
being with us. Would you like to? I realize you've stepped down for one. Would you like to do sign off for that at all, or is there anywhere else people can find you on Twitter? I suppose is the best place to find.
I mean, my Twitter just I barely use it at this point, mate. And I'm not going to be talking about 40k, but it's @SasLake40k if you want to follow it anyway. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege to be invited for this kind of thing, to be honest, mate.
So I mean, you always been talking about how your current knowledge of 40k isn't there, but that you've been doing this for so long that it feels like it would feel dumb not to get you on for this at some point.
If anyone has any questions about like 2010 to 2020 40k, I could probably answer it.
Exactly.
So if you just DM me on Twitter, I'm sure it's fine.
Perfect, Tom. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for being a pillar of the community for as long as you have, because you really are. And I don't know if you don't want to be associated with that, but you've been around for so long that you're part of the furniture, and it'll be a shame to see you step down. But I understand why you're doing it, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much, mate. I'll still be around, just not at every event. I know, because I'm not a crackhead. See you in a bit.
Thanks very much, everybody. This was Tom, not a crackhead Leighton. This was Innocent Outs, and we will see you next time for another episode of whatever the fuck this is.
It's a good concept. Bye.